everybody! Ooh, welcome back to my channel. My name's Leora Aileen and I talk on here about books, reading, writing and sometimes other stuff as well. And today I have quite a big thrifted book haul for you, so let's get into it. So I felt like it was quite a while since I've done like an official book haul on this channel. I feel like I've done like smaller hauls and like vlogs and stuff, but I haven't really sat down and showed you guys some of the books I've recently gotten, as far as I can remember. But a week ago now, I went to the biggest book market in Europe, which was amazing. So this market is in Deventer in the Netherlands, which is where I am from and where I also live. And it is absolutely huge. It is such a big book market. It's like, I think we were there from 10 in the morning until 4 p.m. and it felt like we had barely seen a blip of the market. It was huge. We had the best time though. The weather was kind of bad, but we still really enjoyed ourselves. It was just so wonderful to see all these stalls with all these books. There were new books, but also secondhand books. So I'm really excited to show you guys. There's all sorts of things in here. There is some cozy middle grade fantasy. There's this one Dark Academia vibes book, which I'd never heard of. And then I have some English crime. I have some classics even in here. I have lots of Dutch fantasy, which I'm really excited about. So this is fantasy that was originally written in Dutch. And ooh, I also got a book on fairies because of course, who would I be if I didn't buy a book on fairies or witches? Not sure why I've just given you a summary on the kind of books in this haul already, but at least now you know what you're up for. So before I show you guys all the books I've gotten, I have a little vlog of the day that we went to the market and like just some footage to grasp the vibe because I thought you guys would enjoy that. Let's get to talking about these books. So the first book I bought gave me like sort of Dark Academia vibes, which is why I was gravitated towards it, but like look at that cover. It's so stunning. I absolutely love the vibes. This was translated from Russian to Dutch and the Dutch version is called Doopvondt van de Duivel. I'm gonna see on Goodreads whether it was also translated to English so I can tell you the English title. Okay, I'm trying to figure out whether this book was translated, but I can't really find anything on it, so it feels like this is very obscure. But I can't find if there was an English edition. Either way, let me tell you what it's about, and I guess if you speak Dutch, you can go and read it. So it's about three friends who met in art school, and in a really mysterious way, they come to own this very strange painting. It's a very valuable painting, but it's got kind of a spooky history because it appears to be so that everybody who was painted by this famous painter died shortly after being shown in the paintings. So every time the painting is finished, all the people in the painting mysteriously die. So these friends in art school are very happy actually that they came across such a valuable painting, but then their happiness shortly turns to fear when they figure out that one of the persons in the painting looks quite a lot like one of them, and they are starting to get scared that they will be next and they will die. So it says it is a riveting crime novel that connects St. Petersburg in history to a Dutch harbour town around the 1500s. I do believe it was translated to German at least because I can see that it was reviewed by somebody from Germany. This haul is going to be very interesting because it's like a lot of random books, but like books that interested me nonetheless. So this premise just sounded very intriguing to me and it just had the Dark Academia vibes, and I love especially when it's set in like, you know, an art school. I thought that would be interesting, so looking forward to picking this up. Then the next book I got is one of Roald Dahl's like little short story collections. I've read Trickery from this collection as well, and this one was only a few euros, so I was like, oh, that's great, because I lent the other one from the library. So this this is Madness, and these are tales of fear and unreason. All his short stories are like bound up in different small volumes, and this is one of them. Our greatest fear is of losing control, above all, of losing control of ourselves. In these 10 unsettling tales of unexpected madness, Roald Dahl explores what happens when we let go of our sanity. Among other stories, you'll meet the husband with a jealous fixation on the family cat, the landlady who wants her guests to stay forever. That is a very famous one. I recognize that one. And the man whose taste for pork leads him astray, and the wife with a pathological fear of being late. Roald Dahl reveals even more about the darker side of human nature in the 4 centenary editions: madness, deception, cruelty, and lust. So there's a bunch of these. They all greatly intrigue me. I really enjoy reading a short story collection every now and then, so I will pick this up at some point. Then next up on the list, I'm so excited to show this to you guys. I found this amazing fairy book. It is so cool. So it's called De Elfe, and this is the Dutch edition, and I do know it was translated because a lot of the stories and information in here is folklore from Scotland, Ireland, and, you know, just the UK, I guess. Well, let me see if I can find the original title. Oh, the original title is Fairies. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, this is literally the Dutch translation. So what drew me to this book in the first place is the gorgeous illustrations that I noticed. This is just absolutely stunning, and I love this specific style. And I just knew this could inspire me and my own artwork so much. And I love taking inspiration from like old styles of art and, you know, things that I see around me in the world. But what I also love is that there's a bunch of fairy mythology and folklore in here. And it's really fun the way that it's done because it has like paintings and stories, but it also has a lot of handwritten notes. And it's funny because I think these notes were in the original as well as in the English version, but in this translated version, they sort of give context here and there to like the folklore and bringing it into the perspective of someone who is not from the UK, who's Dutch. So I thought that was really well done. And it just has so many scary illustrations, but I love this sketchbook kind of vibe that it has as well because of the handwritten notes. It's just one of the coolest books I've ever seen and owned. I'm so excited to dive into this. I've paged through it already a couple of times, but I am planning on just reading it back to front because it's so cool and intriguing. It just feels like it's a fairy textbook about fairies, but then somebody like hand wrote some notes for me and made some sketches and illustrations. I can't wait to learn more about the folklore and mythology as well, so I'm just very excited about this. It's so beautiful and I'm really happy. Then next up, I'm extremely excited about these as well. I got 2 Cozy Fantasies by Diana Wynne Jones, who's one of my favorites. I've been talking about her Chrestomanci series and about Howl's Moving Castle as well quite a lot on this channel. And I got one book that is a part of the Chrestomanci series, and then this one, I'm not sure if this is a part of Chrestomanci, but I guess I can look that up. It's not in the list of other titles in the Chrestomanci series, so I guess this one is not a part of Chrestomanci. So Diana Wynne Jones writes really cute and cozy middle grade fantasy, but to be honest, it's fantastic for adult readers as well, or I've really enjoyed it. The Chrestomanci series is basically a series of short books, and in each and every one of the books, Chrestomanci the wizard is a part of the story. In some books he's more in the foreground, in other books he's a side character, but he always appears, and it's all different stories. You can read them on their own, but if you read them together they form this sort of strange painting of different stories in the same world. And I'm guessing there's also going to be like some sort of grand conclusion, or like at least some part bringing it all together, but I don't know because it's not really clear to me what the exact order of these books is, because like the order that is in here is already different from the one that I found online. I've read 3 books in the Chrestomanci series so far and I've enjoyed all of them. And this is Witch Week, which I understood to be the 3rd book officially, but I'm not sure if I'm right, so don't come for me. Let me read the back to you. When a note written in ordinary blue ballpoint appears between the 2 of the homework books Mr. Crossy is marking, he's very upset. It says, "Someone in this class is a witch." Anyone could have written it, but the most awful thing is, the note might be true, for Larwood House is a school for witch orphans. Oh my god, I love me a witch school. The last thing Mr. Crossley needs is a visit from the Divisional Inquisitor. Only Chrestomanci can sort out the trouble that lies ahead. I love me some magical bureaucracy, and I also love middle grade and witch schools. I've been looking forward to this one in the Chrestomanci series especially, so it's really fun that I found a copy like for cheap, because I was planning on just listening to it on audiobook or maybe even reading it on my iPad, so I'm very excited to have a physical copy. And then the other one has time travel, and that is one of the other things I adore. So I was like, let me read this. This one, as far as I understand, is just another book that Diana Wynne-Jones wrote, but it's not a part of Crestomency, just to clarify. When Vivian is evacuated from London in 1939, she's unexpectedly whisked away there, instead to the safety of the countryside. The Time Patrol works to preserve the correct sequence of historic events, but rogue time travelers are plotting to take control and are stealing the wards that protect the city. If they succeed, Time City and history as we know it will be destroyed. Sounds very exciting. So the cover is absolutely vague. It's one of these like really weird covers. I don't know, sometimes you see like a bit of an older cover and it just seems absolutely wild to you now. And yeah, this was written in 1987, so that explains why it feels so weird to me now. But this imprint is from 2000. It kind of has those 2000s vibes, I do have to say. So I'm very excited to read this one and to see whether I like it. I mean, I've loved all Diana Wynne-Jones I've read until now, so I guess it'll be good. Then I bought this urban fantasy that was written in Dutch, Daar heb ik een drankje voor, by Emmy van Rijven. I guess freely translated this would be, I have a potion for that. In this story we follow a potion brewer, and she has very good magic capabilities, but she doesn't really want to use her magic capabilities for important things, because she's a witch that's decided to live in the human world and to go to a human school, and so she's brewing her potions in her little attic room, and she doesn't want to be bothered, but then she gets summoned to help the ambassador's daughter in the magical world because there's something going on. So it has magical bureaucracy, it has a wayward witch that doesn't really want to be a witch, or at least she doesn't want to use her powers for important things. And it's really funny because she's like using her potions and powers just to help like students with like, you know, like when they have a hickey or a hangover. So it's very funny. I loved the concept. I've read it already. It was really short, so I had to dive into it because I was very excited to pick it up. So I really enjoyed the characters in the story. I do feel like it could have had a little bit more depth. Like there was a lot there and they didn't really take the time to sort of deepen out the story. So I felt like it lacked a little bit in that department, but I overall really enjoyed it and I flew through it. So if you speak Dutch, I would recommend you pick it up. And if you're learning Dutch, it's also a good book because it's, you know, just so readable. So really enjoyed that. Then I got one from the same author because it is set in Scotland and it's about a witch coven in a boarding school. So, you know, that's my jam. I had to buy it. So this is Vloek van Vuur en Schaduw, also by Emmy van Rijven, which would be The Curse of Fire and Shadow. Me and my horrendous translating. This cover is really cool. So I especially enjoy the back. It's got like this magical gate of sorts. And then I already saw that the chapter headings are very witchy and cool. So we follow Myra and she is very excited because she's kind of struggling in her current school, but she gets a scholarship to this Scottish boarding school. It's in the Highlands. It's absolutely beautiful. She can't wait to make a fresh start. And when she gets there, she quickly gets involved with this group of girls who form a witch coven, and Mare is overexcited to enjoy their magical rituals and their moon nights. And this is all very cool and fun until Myra finds out that they are cursed and something is definitely going on. So the vibes of this sound absolutely cool. I really hope I'm gonna love this one. It definitely seems very promising. And then my final fantasy that was written in Dutch that I bought is Jong Gehext is Oud Gedaan by Colleen Cross. And this is one in the series The Witches of Westwick, and this is a cozy witch read because, you know, what else would I be reading? The premise of this one really reminded me of one of the other books I've recently read and really enjoyed, or I think I read it in February actually. But it really reminded me of this one because it also has an Airbnb, a murder, and a witchy girl, so it's got like the Gilmore Girls vibes as well. So, I mean, if you only speak English, I would recommend you pick up this one, and you can also watch my video where I review and read this one because it was a really fun read, but it has very similar vibes as far as I can tell. I haven't read this one though, so I don't know if this one's going to be good, but it definitely drew me in. So it's about Sandrine West, and Sandrine really badly just wants to have a normal life. She wants to be a journalist. She doesn't want to get involved in all this witchy business. I never really understand these main characters because let me tell you, if I were a witch, I would definitely want to be a witch. I would not be like, oh my god, I just want to be a human. Like, what is up with these witches? So 2 days before Sandrine is set to marry this normal man so she can finally start her normal life, a billionaire gets murdered in her family's cozy hotel, and they think her aunt has done it, which is literally, quite literally, a very similar premise to that other book I just talked about. And so she sets out to prove that her aunt is innocent, and of course her witchy powers have to be used. So very excited to dive into this one. I love that I found some cozy witch fantasy that was from, you know, a Dutch author because I'm Dutch and I want to just support my Dutch authors out there. So very excited to get into this one. Then I bought this beautiful edition of Pride and Prejudice, and it was €1.50. This is my favorite thing about thrifting books. The price tag is still on there though, and I can't get it off, so I guess I'll have to do that later. Just ignore that, thank you. So this is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and it also has got deckled edges, so I thought that was stunning. This book especially has like the old-timey vibes. I feel like if it's a classic, I've got to have it in an edition that also breathes like the old vibes. I really just talk nonsense on here. So I've read some Jane Austen before. I've started in Emma, and I'm kind of still reading Emma. I don't know, I enjoy it, but I find that it's not a book I want to read constantly, so it's something I pick up every now and then I do really like reading it, and I think Jane Austen is very funny. And Pride and Prejudice is, I think, a classic I really should get to. I feel like I'm obliged to read this at some point in my life, and I really like this edition, and it was €1.50. So I was like, I'll buy it, and then when I'm like ripe to read it, I'll pick it up. I love the Pride and Prejudice movie, so I mean, at some point I will read this and really enjoy it. I have found that I usually struggle reading classics in English, and they come easier to me in Dutch. But I'm willing to try with this one in English, so we'll see how it goes. And then the final book in my haul is The Appeal by Janice Hallett. This was also €2, so what a bargain. Love thrifting. Agatha Christie for the 21st century, a dazzlingly clever murder mystery. I've got quite a lot of murder mysteries in this pile, and also recently I've been reading a lot of like cozy murder mystery things, and there's so many more on my list, so I'm very excited about that. 1 murder, 15 suspects, can you uncover the truth? Now that is a tagline that will get me involved, because I love trying to solve a mystery. So this is set in a very sleepy town called Lockwood, which already sounds like an absolute vibe. It starts with the arrival of 2 secretive newcomers and ends with a tragic death. Roderick Tenner QC has assigned law students Charlotte and Femi to the case. Somebody has already been sent to prison for murder, but he suspects that they are innocent, and that darker secrets have yet to be revealed. I love that it says at the end of this blurb, will Charlotte and Femi solve the case? Will you? There's some responsibility for us as a reader as well, apparently. If I'm very honest, I just thought the cover of this book was really cute, and I also loved the illustration on the inside, and then the fact that it was only $2.50 and that it was a murder mystery set in a cozy, sleepy town, that just kind of drew me in, so I had to get it. So I really hope that I'm going to enjoy it. It says that it's witty and clever, which is one of my favourite things. If a book is funny, I usually like it quite a lot, so. Okay, so that was my little haul of all the books I've bought at the Daventry book market. I really enjoyed filming this video and showing you guys the books that I got. I hope it was still interesting, even though not all of these books are available in English. I noticed that I kind of want to read more in my first language, Dutch, as well. And the thing is, if something was originally written in English, I prefer to read it in English as well. I just want to read it in the language it was written in. But if something was written in, like, say, German, Russian, Spanish, then I could just as well read the Dutch translation as the English translation. And, like, especially all these books that were written in Dutch, like, in the first place, I just want to read more Dutch. So, but I kind of feel sometimes that I shouldn't, because it's like, if I then talk about it on YouTube, it has no use because I know that the majority of my audience does not speak Dutch. So I feel kind of like conflicted between this sometimes, because I do want to read more in my mother tongue, but I don't want to like alienate everybody watching to my channel by talking about books they can't read, you know? So that's kind of a struggle sometimes. But on the up and coming though, I'm reading a Dutch fantasy right now, which I'm absolutely adoring. And it's set to be translated to English, which is extremely exciting. I'm also just extremely excited for a Dutch fantasy author to make it big internationally. And I feel like Rima Ori, whose book I'm reading right now, has really got what it takes. So I'm so excited. I know her personally as well. I've met her a few times and her books are amazing. So I'm so excited, but I hope to talk about that in an upcoming vlog. But her book is In het vervloekte hart. I will show the translation here if I can find the translated title, and it's coming out I think next year in English, so I'm extremely excited for that. I'm reading this right now and it's so good. I'm sorry, this is like a whole side tangent nobody asked for. Anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, you had a good time watching it. Don't forget to let me know in the comments whether you enjoyed it, and if you don't know what to comment, leave a little leaf plant emoji. I just keep telling you guys random emojis, but it's like so fun to see the emojis pop up in the comments. I'm also curious to hear if any of you guys ever go to book markets, or if you ever thrift books, or like, do you go to the library? Where do you get your books? Because I buy a lot of books, but I also go to the library quite a bit, and I also thrift a lot of books. So I do all of the book acquiring, I guess. I'm just weak when it comes to books, you know, I want to read all the stories. Now, with all of that out of the way, don't forget to check out my web shop, support me as an artist and creator. The link is in my description down below. You can shop through my own website, and that would be really exciting. Get yourself some bookish goodies. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like this video. We are so close to 40k. It's wild. I'm beyond excited. I also feel like, whoa, that's so many people. I just keep on talking. So like, let's end this video right now. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. I swear, I could keep on talking forever.